happens when you truly relate to others? What happens when we get moved by others? People mimic, very slightly, even emotional expressions. Observing someone's emotions like fear can create fear in ourselves. But what happens when we watch the game in the bar or with the friends? And what happens to us when we see one of the players get hurt? We almost feel it a bit as if we got hurt. Now, try this with laughter. What happens when you see someone or a group of people start laughing? Chances are you will laugh too. It is spontaneous. It is not learned. No knowledge is necessary to do this. How do I know? Kids do this. Even babies do this. Have you ever played with an infant or even saw some pictures or videos, of adult doing one thing and baby imitating without even knowing what that means? We simply have this mirroring, as we call it, built into our system. So scientists recently discovered what they call mirror neurons. So when I smile, certain part of my brain, certain neurons light up, telling me, hey Braco, you're smiling. Okay, not a big deal. I smile, neuron fire, they tell me I smile. But how about this? When Jane smiles, and let's say there is a Jane that I sit across Jane, the same neurons fire in my brain telling me, Braco, you smile, before I even start smiling. Isn't that incredible? And we know when we smile, our body releases chemical called dopamine, which makes us feel good, a happy chemical. I talk about this a lot. It's one of the really greatest research that I ran into. These are two examples, a football game and a smile, explain how positivity and negativity get spread around. So if you want to be happy, surround yourself with happy people. If you want to be miserable, it's easy. Surround yourself with miserable people. I know we don't want to do that. This is a class on happiness. But for some other people, I just wanted to tell you why they're sometimes miserable. So, or one reason why they're sometimes miserable. Here's a great experiment done by Sean Aker from Harvard University. They had 15 people standing on a platform waiting for the train. Then these sneaky researchers, they always do something sneaky. They had another person working on their side, but no one knew that. So this individual comes in the middle of these 15 folks and starts nervously looking at the watch and bouncing in the place. Looking at the watch and bouncing in the place. Depending on the study, they have 7 to 12 people following nervously, looking at their watch and tapping their feet impatiently. Now, in some of my programs, I use similar technique to test how mirror neurons work. So I would pair people, and it would be 2 folks in a group, and give them the following directions. I would say one person would need to start laughing as much as they can and as loudly as they can. The other person was giving directions not to laugh, not to smile, but to be close to this person, looking directly into their face and not laugh. I may remember, few people over years that I've been doing this exercise, resisting to laugh or at least smile, although they were giving specific directions not to do that. But it wasn't their fault. It's a mirror neuron's fault. It is the mirror neuron that will mirror what other person does. We are simply wired to be compassionate and also help each other in any way we can. I know some people do not do that, but believe some of these people are probably trained not to do and not to help others. And I guarantee there are very few on this planet. Something happened probably in their life that triggered this opposite reaction, because Kids would simply help. Babies help each other. There's no question asked, right? Nothing in it for them. You can see many funny YouTube videos really proving this what I just said. As per Dr. Emiliana Simon Thomas from UC Berkeley, there are two types of empathy. Affective empathy, when we feel other people's states, and cognitive empathy, understanding other emotional states, taking their perspective, as we would say, put ourselves in their shoes. This is also called theory of mind. The other day, I watched the movie Cobbler, and if you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, I will explain, but not tell you, of course, what happened at the end. I don't want to be responsible for ruining the movie. So the cobbler has the ability to walk into someone's shoes, into someone else's shoes. He's capable of cognitive empathy just by physically putting on someone else's shoes. Of course, it had to be the same size, and in this case, size was 10 and a half. What would you do if you can walk in someone else's shoes anytime you want? Would you want to do that? For real? Would you want to have an ability? And if you do not, would you sometimes just think about how does it feel to try to walk in someone's shoes? Now, walking in someone else's shoes, literally what happened in this movie, sounds good, but it can also be scary, as the movie shows. This is about understanding other emotional states. So feeling it and understanding it are two different things, right? This is also called theory of mind. What happens when we see few pictures of other people feeling bad, terribly sick, suffering? Put that picture in your mind. You know, it may cause something in your body, and your brain will most likely react to that suffering. Are we really made to empathize and help each other? The research done, all right, this one was with monkeys, and it's really, really fascinating. It was done in early 60s, and showed that those monkeys were not willing to pull the chain. They were not willing to pull the chain to get the food if the same motion would hurt other monkeys. They were not willing to pull the chain to get food, so they stayed hungry, but understanding that that motion will hurt another monkey, they didn't want to do it. So we do have feelings for each other. Also, drawing on the work by Daniel Batson and Nancy Eisenberg, they describe two kinds of empathy. There's empathetic concern versus empathetic distress. Empathetic concern, as you guessed it, describes people who do have concern when they see other people in a bad emotional or physical state. These people are ready to help. And people who experience empathetic distress don't have the same helping behavior. Do we always help others? Not really. The research done at Princeton University, and this was really cool, by John Darley and Daniel Batson, what they did is they had the seminary students walk across the campus to give a talk. And along the way, they passed Confederate, someone who was doing what researchers told him to do. But of course, seminary students didn't know that. The person was on the street in pain and just asking for help. Only 10% folks helped them. The reason? They were running late to their speech and simply didn't have the time to help. So, if sometimes you feel like you should help but you didn't, don't drive yourself crazy. I'm sure you had legitimate reason and will help next time, right? Let's discuss empathy in relationship to happiness. Does empathy make us happy or happier? Are empathetic people happier than others? Well, based on some research, the answer seemed to be yes. The answer is yes. Empathetic people are happier, expressing pleasure. They have strong social connections, and we know, right? We know that social connections are the #1 predictor of happiness. If you're empathetic to others, chances are others will empathize with you and with your pain to support you, and that by itself can make you happier when you're going to have a big support. So this week, let's test how empathetic you really are. Let's try to pay a close attention to the following. When watching a movie, this is just an example, movie could be anything. Do you feel the feelings that actor may have? Do you almost feel the pain when you watch the game and one of the players get hurt? Do you feel like you also want to smile when a person next to you smiles? When you pass a person who smiles, do you just smile and then think about, wow, I smiled, I didn't even think about it? And then in turn, do you think you get miserable when you are around miserable people? But again, let's end on a happy note. Happy note, yes. Empathy improves our happiness level.